So, hi everybody. I wanted to introduce you to one of the biggest inspirations for me and beautiful, stunning Tina from fitshorty.
Hey!
And I want to mention she has right now going on like a 30 days of like challenge where you could go and join her and her husband with on the path to, you know, becoming raw. And, you know, tell us a little bit about that. And then I'm going to ask you a little bit more difficult questions.
It's basically really simple. About 12 hours ago, we launched it. So it's really fresh. In my inbox, in my DMs on Instagram, every day I receive messages that basically read like, how to go raw. I really want to, you know, take my health to the next level, but I don't know how to go raw.
Right.
And as a busy mom, I've made it a point to answer every person that writes to me on Instagram. But sometimes, you know, when there's like over 30 messages per day, it's impossible to help everybody and guide them into the world of raw foods. And with Chippy, with my partner, we've always wanted to create one program that would teach people how to go raw, even if it's just for 30 days. And it had to be super easy, very tasty, no nonsense ingredients, available everywhere at, you know, each time of year, anywhere around the world, and recipes that take under 20 minutes to make. Dinner recipes, because the program is based on eating fruit throughout the day, and then a savory raw vegan meal in the night. And we created this raw food challenge. And we launched it yesterday. So far it's been a huge success. We're gonna have, you know, these group coaching calls with our challengers. And if you're interested in going raw but don't know where to start, I highly recommend you to go to fitshorty.com/30-day challenge, or go to our Instagram at fitshorty, and the link is there, and you can check out the challenge. You can check out what's included. You have meal planners, recipes for every day, over 10 hours of raw food training, how to do it anywhere. We've basically, so cool. the whole idea was to make it doable, you know, because there's just so much information out there. It's very confusing for people. Like, you know, people start focusing, for example, on food combining, and then they get stuck. They're like, oh my God, I can't eat anything. It's just too difficult, you know.
I know.
So that's it.
Wonderful. I'm so happy. And I'm going to definitely send you also my clients, you know, who have trouble basically readjusting and switching. But tell me, like, how did this whole, we're going to talk about a couple of very interesting topics, right? Today. I want to talk about like, how did you get into this world, you know, and from dieting to basically to this, and how it helped you, natural healing a little bit related to the fruits and so on. And also like maybe a little bit about your book that I really love, you know, if we have time, and also like current events, you know, how what we do fits into this current events and what's going on. So let's dive in. You know, let's do this. It is spontaneous chat, but you know, like for me, it's like I would love to hear for your opinion, because you've been like around in this world for quite some time. So I really appreciate you.
I've been around for 42 and a half years. So yeah, that's quite some time.
Yeah, we've been around, but like
we're in our 40s.
Yeah. So tell me the story about, like, you know, the going to raw and what it did for you, and what were you looking for? Like, how did you get to it, and what did you feel or help
my raw journey began 9 years ago in 2012. And basically all my life I was overweight. I was at my worst. I was about 70 pounds and 32 kilograms overweight. I was on the border of obese to morbidly obese, you know. But going back and forth, and I had a lot of periods where I really restricted, and I got down to it, but I couldn't even keep the weight down for one day. The moment I went down, it went back up, gaining far more. So I was overweight most of my life and miserable without it, because I know there's a whole lot of people out there, you know, that really embrace their body and are all about body positivity. I was the opposite. I saw my body as an obstacle to doing the things I wanted, to living a dream life, to getting a boyfriend that respected me. Like, everything was not so good, and I blamed it on my body. So my entire focus of my life was always on trying to lose weight. And in 2012, my friend from Australia said she's doing green smoothies for breakfast, and I researched the hashtag green smoothie on Instagram, and through that I found a girl who was on a fruitarian diet. And at that time I was doing the paleo diet, and my meals look like chicken breast on some lettuce leaves or cooked broccoli, right? And
so sad.
So sad, no carbs. And she had this whole kitchen floor filled with tropical fruits because she had them delivered in Ireland, the organic tropical fruits, every Saturday. And my mouth just started salivating, and I looked at the girl. She looked stunning. She was running these ultra marathons and eating just fruits, and I thought, wow. And I just couldn't get past that one Instagram post of that stranger, right? And I started researching the fruitarian diet. And for the next year, I researched this diet day and night. I really got obsessed with it. I would go to work. I had my own interior design studio because I was in interior design in Warsaw. And I would work by day, but by night, I was researching fruitarianism, food, nutrition, raw foods, detoxes, juices, cleansing, right? And by the end of that year, and I was still eating paleo, by the way, and going to the gym, because I was like, at the end of that year, I was like, there's no doubt in my mind that humans are frugivores. There's just too much science behind it. Everything about our anatomy and our behavior and the development of our brains proves without a doubt that we are fruitarians. But now I am an smoking, wine drinking omnivore who eats out twice a day in the restaurants of Warsaw. How do I apply this diet to my lifestyle? My social life is just going to collapse if I start eating this many bananas. I was kind of right. So I was like, I'm just gonna, it was December. December was nearing, and I knew that on Christmas, my mom prepares these delicious traditional meals, and I typically gained like a few kilograms, even on top of all the excess weight I was carrying.
Just Christmas.
This year, I'm going to do a fruitarian cleanse for 1 week, just to get the pounds off before I put them on for Christmas.
Christmas, girl.
And I'm just going to go fruitarian for a week. That was the plan. And guess what? I went fruitarian. My idea of fruitarian is because, like you say, back in, this was 2013, there was not much information out there. So I was kind of like, it was like walking in the dark. I went to the farmer's market. I bought sauerkraut and pickles because these were the only fruitarian raw things I could think of to eat. And then I ate some carrot sticks at a company dinner party for architects, where these carrot sticks were used in a cheese dip. And then I went out to a bar and I ate lemon quarters because they were used for cocktails. So can you imagine my fruitarian diet?
That was not good.
Pickles, carrot sticks, and lemon quarters at 2 a.m. and then some bananas the next day. And it was a horrible diet. But after a week, there was something magical. I mean, I had also been bulimic at that point for 21 years. And I was really, really in the depths of it. Like during my worst, I would be binging and purging 6 times a day, or all through the night until like sunrise.
So sorry, that's intense.
Yeah, that was absolutely horrible. And at that point, after 21 years of bulimia, I was at the point where I was a functioning bulimic. Like I was running an interior design company, but it was taking up all of my energy because I was just so exhausted from purging the food and not getting the nutrients.
You get like
money
swelling in the face too, right?
Extremely swollen, dark eyes.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And this week on fruit, this was the first time in my life where I didn't feel like taking the food out. It just felt good in my body. There's nothing about fruit that makes you want to overeat and then purge it out. It was like this absolutely natural fuel. And after 7 days, people started asking me, they were like, what are you doing? You look years younger. Or I just felt like I'm walking like 30 centimeters above ground level. And I said, I'm actually going to be fruitarian for the rest of my life.
Wow.
And
that's big.
Plan.
That's big.
That was the plan. It was easier said than done. Because in the next 2 years, I was still in Poland. And the 30 bananas a day movement by Fruli, who was a great inspiration, was like the idea of fruitarianism at the time. And it was great fuel, but it was it felt very restrictive. You know, I was eating banana smoothies 3 times a day.
Oh, okay.
And, you
You
know,
didn't have fruit selection,
the tiredness of the diet was getting to me. It was very monotonous. And living in Poland, there was not much other fruits in the winter, like some orange juice sometimes, but not much. So many times I fell off the wagon, as people say. So I would go like be fruitarian for 3 months, and then have this, you know, Indian curry because it was my mom's name day or birthday, right?
Oh, okay.
So the first 2 years of being fruitarian, I was like 95% fruitarian, and it was a struggle because I was going back and forth. And after 2 years, I said, if I'm going to do this, and I really wanted to do this because this was the most important thing in my life, because it made me look great, feel great, and I was no longer bulimic. So that was great. Okay,
that's major improvement, major
life improvements. And I also realized that I no longer want to be an architect, that I wanted to be a minimalist fruitarian living in Southeast Asia.
That's a change.
Yeah. And basically, after a sailing trip to Croatia, which we talked about recently, I decided that I'm going to like leave my entire life as I've known it. I'm going to rent out my flat, give my car to my parents, close down my company, leave the relationship I was in. And I'm just going to buy a one-way ticket to Bali because I knew there was already fruitarians there. And I'm just going to go there and eat fruits. That was the whole plan. And I was like, and then, you know,
how are you going to make your money? Nothing. It was just like, let's deep dive.
Let's just go. And this plan has, you know, sprouted in me. It wasn't like a last minute thing. I was like, ever since I started eating fruit, this idea that I have to find the source of the best fruit on the planet, it dawned on me, and it grew stronger. And because I was eating bananas, but I was working as an architect, I was able to make some significant financial savings during those 2 years. I also stopped using makeup, stopped buying clothes, and stopped binging. So for the first time in my life, I was actually able to save a little bit of money. Some money, not enough to sustain me forever, just enough for a couple of months in Southeast Asia, maybe a year or two max. Yeah. And I catapulted myself to Bali, and wow, my life changed overnight. I lost the last of the excess weight I was carrying seamlessly. I started socializing. I met amazing people. I started eating. I was just eating 3 things: papaya, coconut water, durian, which I still think are one of the best fruits for me out there. To be able to start your day with coconut, then papaya, and then end it on durian, it's, oh my God, it's an absolute blessing. I see it even more now that I'm called Poland. Yeah. And I started living in a state of pure bliss. And just like I couldn't really relate to anybody here in Poland. I was always trying to find love, right? Once I was in Bali, love possibilities were like coming at me left and right. Yeah. And half year into being in Southeast Asia, I met Chippy, who messaged me, who found me through #fruitarian on Instagram. And we met, and he was 14 years younger. I was engaged to somebody else at that time, and it really seemed like, I thought, oh my God, this is gonna be so inconvenient. But it was just a love so strong that from the moment we went, we never parted. He was much I was 37 and he was 23 and a half, I think, or 24. He was so adventurous and a biker. And we started just traveling all around Southeast Asia, like to these unknown spots. And doing
videos for YouTube and Instagram. That's how I found you on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube. That was the way.
And after a few months of going to like really remote places like Borneo or West Papua or the Malukus or Sumatra, like just places where other people haven't been to, with the intention to search of fruit. We have found some really, I think, 2 of the rarest jungle durian fruit trees in the wild, and photographed them and filmed them for the first time.
I remember that.
Gave us this tag, "You are rare fruit hunters." And we thought like, wow, we are rare fruit hunters. Yes. This is awesome. Exactly who we want to be. And basically after we posted those rare durian trees and our adventures on YouTube, we had this influx of hundreds, thousands of people saying, I want to have that kind of life. I want to have that kind of adventure. Can I join you, even for one day, even for 1 week? So we opened up a travel company and we started organizing fruitarian retreats in a different part of Southeast Asia. Every
Where
time.
was that? I don't even know about this.
I know.
Where was I then?
We haven't had one in the last, I think, 18 months. We had, you know, our retreats just before the COVID pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been doing. And ever since then, we've been organizing these wonderful retreats in different parts of the world where we invite people from all over the world. Actually, most of the people who come to us are not fruitarian, or most of them actually not vegan. They are just curious.
Are you serious?
Yes, and they come and eat just fruits with us. I mean, we have fruitarians, we have raw vegans, vegans, pescatarians, vegetarians, omnivores, but most of them are not even vegan.
But listen, what about the detox? What about the healing crisis and the detox?
Well, that's the thing. Because the fruits in Borneo jungle are so high fat. We're talking the dabai, which is 65% fat, and durian, which is 30% fat. Well, if we make sure they eat enough of these fatty fruits, and they're the most delicious fruits in the world, and coconut water, then they don't go into deep detox. So far, we've had,
that's amazing,
2 people, one person who had been nauseous on our retreat one day, and one person who had a strong coffee detox from not drinking coffee, a headache. But otherwise, we were really into eating in abundance, and so people don't actually get into too much detox during our retreats, because we're always saying eat enough. You know, you're here for the adventure of your lifetime. This is not the time to lay down and fast.
It's about feasting, not fasting, right? Feasting.
Yeah, so it's a feasting retreat, and meanwhile, so we coordinate our retreats with the seasons of the jungle fruits in different places around Southeast Asia, and for the rest of the year, we travel hunting down the best fruits and the best places where we can bring people and have that amazing experience.
What a life. I mean, and such a great mission, you know, turning people like healthy and cleaning up their mess, you know, and like we said before, like it's just basically electricity, consciousness, lifting up everything, right? It's just amazing.
A dream life. And all this, you know, all this evolved without any planning. Like there's no way that when I started eating fruit to lose a few pounds in a week, there was no way I could possibly come up with this genius plan that we would organize fruitarian retreats deep in the Borneo jungles. There's no way you can come up with that idea.
So
but
tell
it all
me,
evolved beautifully.
Yeah. So tell me now, right now you're in Poland. You're like with the baby. You have like a son and one new one on the way. Congratulations! I mean, it's insane. It's incredible. So how is now like living back in Poland, and like how do you manage now? Because the fruit question, do you have some kind of delivery, or what do you do?
Well, first of all, we had to adapt our diet, right? When we are in Southeast Asia, we are, as people say, I hate the word pure or strict, even worse. But we are 100% fruitarians. That what this means is that we eat salt-free on the most part, and we eat fruits in their natural state. So we would, start the day with coconut water, then have some sweet juicy fruits, and then optimally end it on durian or something dense like like dabai or stuff like that. And the availability and the quality of fruits in Southeast Asia is uncomparable to anything you can experience in Europe, because you're just driving or walking around the street, and around every corner you have an old lady who is selling ripe tropical fruits that she picked from her garden
just now, right? Like an hour
before. So this
before.
Is organic, this is tree ripened, and this is as fresh as 3 hours picked 3 hours ago. So being fruitarian in Southeast Asia is an absolute no-brainer, right?
Easy.
Easy, not to mention that these fruits cost a fraction of the price. So our living expenses here in Warsaw are so much higher, even though we're living in my apartment. Then if we rent everything,
even more,
bungalow, transport, and everything included, it's still cheaper to live in Southeast Asia, which is not an option now because it's closed off. So now that we've come to Poland, it's not so easy because in the winter, like I said, you know, maybe it's a little bit better than 10 years ago, but it's mostly bananas and citrus juice. And as much as I would like to say that I can live on just banana smoothies and orange juice, I'm not a purist, right?
Especially you're not happy with that and it doesn't satisfy you.
I'm not happy. It's not sustainable, especially like maybe if I was into fasting or juice fasting and I could meditate all day and have this really tranquil lifestyle. But I have a family. I have my partner and I have a 2-year-old and I need fuel. Okay. I just can't water fast or juice fast all the way. No. We had to find different solutions. So we referred to what else can we do? And we incorporated during the day. We start usually with some kind of juice, like watermelon juice, orange juice. Then we eat sweet fruits for lunch and as snacks, because we don't have fixed meals. We just graze during the day whenever you're hungry. And then in the evening, we have salads or any other kind of raw vegan dishes, which we create, which is usually like zoodles or cucumber noodles. These are things made from savory fruits like tomatoes, cucumbers, stuff like that, with homemade dressings that we make. And we eat that. And that's our diet here.
Yeah. So what about the nuts and seeds? Did you include anything? Because I'm just not fond of like really nuts and seeds. I do have like now I add because I'm not detoxing, of course, I'm not healing, I'm fine. So I use like tahini dressing, you know, for instance, for raw tahini dressing for my salads. But otherwise, like I do have like greens, you know, but it's a lot of sprouts because of the energy. That's what I'm missing, right? The density. And then like, I'm assuming that also when you go out sometimes, you know, you have like a mucusless, you know, vegan meal, maybe even, you know, when you're on the go. Oh, it's like
no,
cooked,
we typically don't. No, we don't eat cooked. We don't go out. And if we have to eat in restaurants, I would order like a salad with avocado and an orange juice. But we actually don't go out, and there's no raw options to eat here. But what Chippy makes at home is like eating out in a raw vegan restaurant. And let's say this, that I don't feel any side effects of the nuts and seeds. Chippy, I think it's because I'm not as clean as he is. I only went raw at 30, what's it called? 37, right?
37, yeah.
37, right? And I never actually, you know, got down to this point where I really clean out my body. My BMI never went below 22, and I actually never wanted it because this is fantastic, you know, for me. But Chippy, who is younger, he's 20 something and much slimmer and much more athletic, and I feel that his body is just by nature much cleaner than mine is. Sometimes he can feel the effects of some nuts. Like there is some nuts that just don't agree with him. And like he is better with almonds and not as good with cashews. And this is why we implemented that we really soak the nuts really long time. We soak them overnight in water.
I mean, cashews are processed, you know, and almonds are actually raw almonds are actually alkalizing, and cashews are not, right? So probably I feel the same way. So, you know, I have the same thing, and I'm not probably as clean as him as well.
So that he feels good, because like I said, my body isn't as sensitive to the nuts and seeds. So we soak the nuts, that's one thing. And we also found that nuts that are higher in omega-3s, like hemp seeds and flax seeds, even the flaxseed oil, if you can get cold pressed, this is something we do in Poland. All those higher in omega-3s and not higher in omega-6s, they are anti-inflammatory, right? And they digest better. So, and also we tend to not to eat like the same nut over and over again. There's this idea of nuts and seed rotation. And lastly, I would like to add that we don't make these raw vegan and salads meals the basis of our diet. The basis, more than 80% of our calories still come from fruit. So this is just
similar to me,
you know, to give us something savory and satiating in the evening, and in the amounts we eat it, it's okay. And I don't know if when we go to the tropics, if we'll still be eating salads and raw vegan dishes, or will we go back to fruits? I have a hunch that if there's coconut and durian, we'll just
dive
everything in a heartbeat and eat coconut
Just
and
fruits.
durians till absolutely till we can. But
Yeah.
these things, but simply being in a cold climate, you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
And
I totally
we're
agree with you. And also, you
we're
know,
not
with working and everything, we just deal with it. I mean, Barcelona is really good fruit. I must admit, we have amazing fruit.
Yes, but
But
Spain
it's,
is way better than Poland.
yeah,
Like
it's
most of our produce comes from Spain. So you are guys are
yeah,
actually at the
at the
origin,
source.
whereas
Yeah.
at the
And
source. Whereas here right now, once the plums finish, there's no local fruits till raspberries or
yeah,
strawberries in May.
yeah,
There's
in
like
May, I
this
know.
whole gap.
I know apples and pears and grapes still probably, at least, you know, like in Croatia, I experienced something like you were, you know, you can just park a car when it's the season of figs and watermelons and grapes. You just park a car, you just walk around and you just overeat on figs. And it's incredible. These are wild figs. And like you're saying, like, you don't need anything else, right? It's like you
Exactly.
don't
Like
have
right
this
now
craving.
we were in Italy, and like most of our diet was just foraging figs. Like people were saying, "Oh, you're manifesting these," but they were everywhere. We went to like
Yeah.
several different places in Italy, and everywhere we went, because I believe in the power of
good.
manifesting, there was this overloaded fig tree, and there was more figs than our whole family could possibly eat.
Yeah, I
But
I
yeah,
love figs. I also, to me, it's like I really can't wait to go to Croatia and like basically, like you said, like you just like pick everything from the wild, you know. And also you can get like a grapes that the people just have for design, you know, next to their houses. They don't spray, they don't do anything.
exactly.
You just ask them,
And those are the
can
best.
I buy it from you? And they, or like lemons
Yeah.
or something, you know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're
Mhm.
I know exactly what kind of grapes you're talking about.
Yeah,
They're just these round black grapes.
yeah,
We still
wild.
have them, you know, sold by old ladies in Poland, but they're really growing out of style. It's harder and harder to get
To
them. You know,
find.
they're replaced by these giant seedless grape-like things in
Yes.
supermarket with taste of raw potatoes.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like what do they do with the fruit? But anyways,
I don't know what they do for it, but a lot of the supermarket produce, you know, this is a huge pain point for me, that a lot of the produce sold here in cold climates does not taste what it should taste like, and people never actually know what a ripe watermelon tastes like, or what a mango tastes
exactly.
like. That's
Sorry, that's my dogs running around
no
and that's
worries.
on the thing. But you know, we still find a way, you know, and you can still, I say to people, like, to me, I'd rather eat the worst possible fruit, you know, with the most pesticides, the most poison than animal product, you know what I mean? Because it
Yeah,
just,
of
the
course.
energy is still, you know,
Same.
and of course, like, because the animals are storing like so much more worse things. But tell me, so all this traveling, right? And now you're back in Poland, and what is the goal now? Like, what are you going to do now? What's the adventures that will, do you have any plans? What's the dream?
Yeah, we have there's a few reasons why we want to stay in Poland for the next 3 months. Some of them are family related, some of them are business related. Just the availability of good internet is sometimes a blessing, which is not so obvious when you're traveling in, you know, in the tropics. And our plan is to head out somewhere sometime early in the next year. And ideally that would be Southeast Asia, but Southeast Asia is not exactly open. You know, I mean, there's, you know, all these rules and regulations that,
like with the pandemic you're talking about. You're talking about the pandemic, or you're talking about, you know, like, do you have to have like some vaccinations or something to go there?
Yeah, exactly. There's all sorts of these rules and regulations how you may enter some countries, but we just want to wait it out because we're not willing to play that that game quite as yet.
Yeah.
So when it comes to January and February, we're planning to see, okay, what's open, where are the options, and maybe we'll go to Southeast Asia. If one of our favorite countries there is open, if not, we'll go somewhere else where it's warm.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like that plan. So one more thing, you know, like being like in the spotlight, right? You know, did it bring a lot of negativity, and how did you fight off this negativity, and how do you explain to people, like, you know, what we do is not so crazy, is not so extreme. You know what is extreme? eating like animal products every day, right? Like how do you explain this to your fans or people who come to your YouTube or Instagram? How do you fight this negativity off and that it doesn't get you,
Okay, so basically our YouTube comment section, if you ever go on there, I don't go on there. I haven't been on the comment section of our YouTube, even in the days where we would post daily or weekly. I just when I was setting up YouTube, a wonderful girl called Brianna Jackfordson, who was a big raw foodist there. She's not a vegan anymore. She said, when you install YouTube, just beware of one thing. The comment section of YouTube is the sewage of YouTube, because people can be completely anonymous and they can just pour shit all over you and get away with it, right? And I didn't know what she meant until a few years later. And this is the thing about social media. If you have this tiny little Instagram and you have 300 people following you, and it's mainly your friends and family, it's gonna be all love.
It's gonna be love.
The more controversial you are, the more you grow. But the more you grow, the more opposition you get, especially if you're really, really against them, if you're not in the mainstream, whatever that be, whether it comes to your looks or your diet. And if you're not thick-skinned, then social media is not the place for you. Okay, you have to find other ways to get if you want to be big, if that's the idea, then you're gonna have to have thick skin, and you're gonna have to not take things personally as much as you can. And that was where I was at, and I was absolutely fine with people hating on us, or however you call it, or people trolling.
Trolling.
It was also always funny because people on our YouTube section would always be trolling, whereas people on Instagram, it would be pure love. So it was this divide.
Interesting. Okay.
Interesting, because people on Instagram tend to be much more likely to have individualized accounts, where they have a name, a face, actual photos of themselves, what they eat, their family, whatever. And YouTube is a medium which is okay with people being completely anonymous without uploading any of their content. And that was absolutely okay until the moment I decided to have a fruitarian baby, our son Leo, and then all hell broke out. And
that hurts. That hurts when it's not you, right?
This happened right after Leo was born. Basically, it was a few really big YouTubers. One of them is sponsored by the Canadian dairy and meat industry, that made videos reviewing my pregnancy diet, a fruit-based diet. And whether these videos were offensive or not, I mean, they were full of things that were simply not true. They were full of assumptions.
They don't understand.
In this tone, they were in this tone which was, let's say, acceptable, right? It was not the kind of tone where you bring out a lawyer and sue them. But the wave of the people that came towards us from those videos, the anonymous people who were
negative.
Negative is not enough said. That was absolutely overwhelming. At one point after Leo was born, he was a perfectly healthy, wonderful, happy child, because of these meat and dairy based nutritionists reviewing my diet. Some days I had like hundreds of people writing me personal message, you should die because you're starving your child. Your child is not going to live till it's 6 months. Your child is not going to live till it's 1 year. Actually, you should die instead. And eventually this escalated into kidnapping threats.
Honestly, just to give you a little point, I actually went and stood up for you in a couple of those kind of really disgusting comments. I mean, to me, it's like people like, where is the limit, right? What do you know about me? Like, and go and look. Do I look
and this was
so
never
bad?
People this was never people, because people are saying it's because of concern, and this was never people who knew us, who followed us. It was always people without a profile picture, without a single post, without a name, completely anonymous people who are saying they are concerned, right? And the moment there was the moment you show them that you're having a great happy life, they unsubscribe, because that's what they want. Don't want to see. They don't want to see you thriving. They want to see drama and misery, because that's what
That's
came
what they
here for.
assume.
But
Yeah.
but what this resulted in is that I decided not to post any pictures of my son on the internet, because after the kidnapping threats, I realized that the internet, especially in light of like the pedophile outings of the last 2 years,
Epstein's
basically,
case,
I do think that the internet is not a safe place for children. That's
I agree with you.
And I actually, I didn't understand, I was of a completely different conviction before I had a child myself. I was like, yeah, of course I'm going to share everything. And then you have this little one and you realize that their whole life, their whole safety relies on your hands, right? And my job, my number one job more than anything, is to protect them, to protect them and to ensure they have the best childhood possible in those few years before they grow up and they, you know, become their own selves. And I was like, the internet, I don't want my child to be subjected to negativity or scrutinized or analyzed anyway. I just want him to have the kind of childhood I had. My parents didn't put photos of me on social media. They didn't brag about my milestones. They didn't check, you know, this and that at the doctors if I'm, you know, developing well. You know, I had, you know what childhood looked like 40 years ago.
Yeah.
By
in the
time
70s.
Yeah, I spent my whole life outside, and I had a string around my neck with a key. And whenever my mom hollered, "Dinner is ready," from the balcony, I would run home. And you know, nobody would ever thought that having the key to the entire house on a child's neck would be, what's it called, dangerous, because children were raised by this whole loving community. And now the world is very different. So that's how I dealt with it, with hatred.
Good. I like
hatred
this.
and negativity. I just removed myself from it, and I didn't at the time when it was the most intense, I did not interact with any of the comments or any of the counts or anything, because there's like, it's a quote from Sex in the City, by the way, my favorite series, when Charlotte is trying to get pregnant and she has acupuncture done on her back, right? And she's trying to focus on this acupuncture session, but there's like all this New York noise outside the window, and she says to the therapist, "I can't relax because it's just too loud there." And the therapist says, "There will always be storm in the outside world. What you need to do is focus on peace on the inside." And I really love that quote. So I just realized that there will always be storm in the outside world. There will always be drama. You just have to choose not to interact with it.
Yeah, that's I agree with you. I mean, the other way is you put all the comments on approval. This is what I did. And I didn't tell you, on approval, you know. I used to have,
there was no way I could do that, because we had a newborn. And the newborn period is in, you know, basically I was like breastfeeding 24/7, breastfeeding marathons, day and night. The last time I, you know, the last thing I had was time to check my
YouTube
social media, which was actually a lucky thing, because only once in every, I think, 10 or 12 days, I would get some information from Chippy, who went on Instagram, who would give me like these summaries of what's going on. And so maybe that was a good thing.
It was good. You just basically had a break and you focus on your baby, but that's how it should be, you know. So this is amazing. This is amazing stuff. I don't want to keep you any more longer because you got to go back to your family. But listen, I truly appreciate, you know, you being outspoken, being exposed so much in this fruitarian, raw vegan lifestyle, you know, because I believe it's time to change humanity. Try to bring us back to our original diet, to who we really are, right? So
I think there is a change happening. You know, at least the way I see it is like, if you look at how many vegan products, like in the vegan niche, are sold worldwide. Like in Germany, the vegan niche is the fastest growing grocery niche, right?
And businesses, all businesses.
That is change happening.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm just worried because, like, you know, you have, like, for instance, China and India, where people are going, you know, more into the meat land. But I think they're realizing that this is not the way to go by looking by the West, you know, US, you know. And for me, living there, the shock that I had once I left New York and I went to this Nebraska, Omaha, you know, these like Midwest, right? South also. I was just in shock how people are overweight. What are they doing, right? And then you learn that they're really brainwashed by corporations to consume this like really processed foods. You know, they don't understand that they should be eating fruit. They're afraid of eating fruit. And then, you know, they're upset with us because we help ourselves and we heal ourselves with the help of fruit. So it's a kind of bizarre world out there, but it's changing. You're right. And it's a lot of people are getting educated. And also allopathic medicine, they cannot hide anymore the truth, you know, that, you know,
No,
health
and
comes
we
from
have
nature.
the internet. Yeah,
Right.
like, 20 years ago, there was no internet and all you had was news on the TV,
And
right?
books.
So this mainstream narrative was the only narrative.
Yeah.
In the world of internet, I mean, there's a lot of censorship. Like, for example,
Right now.
Instagram is not a platform where you can be open about your views about what's going on and
Right.
everything like
Yeah,
that.
it's kind of
But
sad. Also Facebook, same thing.
still,
Yeah.
still, the amount of information sharing, that cobweb of conscious people sharing information, that cobweb is getting thicker and thicker. And I just love it because there's more and more awake
Yeah.
people, more and more aware people. And I think like sometimes you don't need to be preachy, you know what I mean? Sometimes you
Yeah.
just have to do what you're doing and what works for
And
you.
share,
And
right?
people
Yeah.
will come to you. That's how
Right.
we work. People come to us by themselves and
Right.
they come when they're ready.
Right. True. When they're ready. Exactly. When they're ready.
When they're
for
ready.
this.
Usually it's very, very late in the journey when they have tried everything else and it just failed. But who am I to judge? I've been there. I only went fruitarian to lose a couple of pounds where everything else failed. So I
Right. Yeah.
completely get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the success stories and people like, succeeding at this and everything, like from health to losing weight to fixing their thyroids, I mean, cancer, everything. Really,
Everything can be healed.
it's just incredible that, solution to our problem is actually nature and going back to our roots and not the other way. It's not high tech. It's not lab made chemicals. It's not,
No.
all these manipulations that are going on right now. So my darling, you're the best. I love you. I love your family.
Thank you
Keep
for
on
listening to me,
going.
Bianca. It has
Yeah.
been so much fun.
Yeah, you too, Tina. Like, we got to do this, we got to keep on pushing.
Let's do
No
this
matter
more
the
often.
resistance and the obstacles, we'll keep on going. And thank you for being part of this community. Really, I appreciate you so much.
Thank
I can't
you for
even tell
having
you.
me on your channel, Bianca.
Always, an honor. Such an honor, I can't even tell you. All right, kisses. Mwah. Have a beautiful weekend.
Take care.
Okay? Bye.
You too.